In less than a week's time, the US will open their home World Cup, and if we're being honest, most of the world will be supporting their opponents. Paraguay. So for all the new Paraguay fans out there, here's your guide to Alborroja for this World Cup. Amongst the big stories going into the 2026 World Cup, like Messi, Ronaldo and Neymar's last dance, Tim Payne blowing up on socials and FIFA robbing everyone blind, Paraguay's return after 16 years has gone under the radar. They have a long history at the World Cup though, and the game against the US will be a repeat of their first World Cup match all the way back in 1930. Since then, they've been to 8 World Cups, including 3 in a row from 1998 to 2010, a good record for a country with a population under 7 million. In 2010, they narrowly lost to eventual champions Spain in the quarterfinals, their best finish at a World Cup. And with the next tournament being held in neighbouring Brazil, Paraguayans were looking forward to holding a huge party in 2014 for the World Cup next door. The only problem was they didn't qualify. The golden era of Villar, Valdez, Canisa, Cardoso and Santa Cruz were getting older, and Paraguay stunk out qualifying, finishing bottom of the table. They failed again in 2018 and 2022, and it looked likely to be the same story in 2026 as they got 1 win from their first 6 games in qualifying and lost 3 out of 3 at the 2024 Copa America. Manager Daniel Garnero had tried to make Paraguay play more skillful, attacking football, but with technical midfielders who had struggled to outrun a sloth, opponents found it easy to play through their midfield. He was replaced by veteran Argentine manager Professor Gustavo Alfaro, who had taken Ecuador to the last World Cup and just beaten Paraguay with Costa Rica. Under Alfaro, Paraguay went back to their roots. Tough, aggressive and organised. He had an instant impact, with Paraguay going unbeaten in his first 9 qualifiers and picking up famous wins against Brazil and Argentina. Tony Sanabria's goal against Argentina was so good that they literally stuck the picture in the Paraguayan National Gallery. Paraguay picks up 23 points in 12 games under their new manager and had the second best defensive record in South American qualifying, behind Ecuador. Check out my video on them if you want to know why that's such an achievement. In the end, they qualified fairly comfortably. Needing just a draw at home to Ecuador in their penultimate game, they made sure there was absolutely no chance of any goals being scored by mowing down any Ecuador player who dared to enter their half. It probably wasn't worth staying up until 3 AM to watch, if you live in the UK, but it did the job and Asunción exploded as fans celebrated Paraguay's return to the world stage. Most World Cup previews about Paraguay, including this one, have had to be rewritten due to a late injury to starman Julio Enciso. Subbed off in tears during their final friendly against Nicaragua, it's not clear at the time of recording whether he will be able to take part in the tournament. As Paraguay's starman and biggest match winner, it's a huge headache for Alfaro, worsened by the fact that Diego Gomez of Brighton, their other potential match winner, also picked up an injury late in the season and may not go into the tournament at 100%. For a team that can struggle going forwards, it's a huge blow, and will likely mean Paraguay have to lean even more heavily on their defensive solidity. At the World Cup, Paraguay will play with 2 banks of 4 defensively, looking to build from a solid base. Captain Gustavo Gomez and Omar Alderete will start at centre-back. Both are proper defenders, strong and good in the air. Gomez has been a mainstay at Palmeiras for nearly a decade, whilst Alderete has impressed in the Premier League with Sunderland. Juan Cáceres and Junior Alonso are likely to start at full-back. The goalkeeper behind this defence is still uncertain. Gatito Fernandez has been a regular over the last 2 years, but is 38 years old now and barely played at Cerro Porteño this season. Gaston Oliveira, Uruguayan-born but playing in Paraguay for the last 5 years, was nationalised earlier this year and will challenge to be number 1. Andres Cubas, currently playing with Vancouver in the MLS, will screen in front of the defence. He's the only natural holding midfielder likely to start for Paraguay and is vital for keeping the midfield structure. Alongside him, Paraguay have a lot of strong midfield options, with a lot of energy. Assuming he's fit, Diego Gomez is the highlight, a strong runner who strikes the ball cleanly and can shoot well from range. They can also call on Damian Bobadilla of Sao Paulo, Matias Galarza of Atlanta, and Brian Ojeda of Orlando, energetic midfielders who can press and tackle, with Bobadilla in particular also capable of getting into the box to support the attack. Recently nationalised Mauricio of Palmeiras, or Kaku playing in the UAE, offer more creative attacking midfield options. Enciso was going to be the star man, and as long as he's capable of walking, Paraguay will try to get him on the pitch. He's a dynamic attacker with good dribbling who likes to shoot from distance, and scored 2 golazos to save the games against Bolivia and Colombia in qualifying. He has a tendency to try to do everything himself, but he can come up with a goal from nowhere. Mauricio or Ramon Sosa, formerly of Nottingham Forest, may be used in place of Enciso if he isn't able to play. Gustavo Caballero, currently with Portsmouth, is another option likely to start on the bench. On the other side will be Jack Grealish's idol, Miguel Almiron. Currently playing with Atlanta in the MLS, if Enciso is unavailable, he'll have to shoulder a lot more of the creative burden. He hasn't always delivered for the national side, but Paraguayans will be hoping he can repeat his trick from October 2022 and turn into Messi for a month. If only Paraguay had qualified for the last World Cup, it could have all been so different. Tony Sanabria will start up front for Paraguay. He only scored 1 league goal this season for Cremonese in Italy, but tends to save his best for the national team. They have a few other tall number 9s in Alex Arce, Gabriel Avalos, and Isidro Pita backing him up. So what to expect from La Alborroja? They'll have a well-organised defence and a combative midfield. They're unlikely to dominate possession, but will limit space for their opponent and press selectively, looking to attack by getting the ball into Diego Gomez or Enciso quickly. They'll be a threat from set pieces and will put plenty of crosses in the box. And if opponents sit deep, they have several players who can shoot from distance. A feature of Paraguay under Alfaro was how often they would come from behind. They got comeback wins against Argentina and Venezuela in qualifying, and came from behind to draw away at altitude in Bolivia and in the heat of Colombia, 2 notoriously difficult away trips. He's built a really strong team spirit, and after a 16-year wait, the players will definitely be up for it. Expect the typical South American passion and then some. They have a lot of useful attackers, but none are regular goal scorers. Paraguay only scored 14 goals in qualifying. They should create chances, but the big question is whether someone takes them. Or maybe it won't matter. In 2010, they got to the quarterfinals whilst only scoring 3 goals, a World Cup record. The uncertainty over the goalkeeper is a worry, as are the fullbacks. Although Paraguay have a physically strong defence, it may struggle against tricky and fast attackers like Yildiz, Pulisic or Mohamed Torre, and Alderete will be vital if they're to keep opponents out. And while Paraguay are able to compete physically, they can struggle against fast, high-pressing sides. They don't necessarily have the technical quality deeper on the pitch to play out under pressure. Given their midfielders' strengths in picking up second balls, don't be surprised if Paraguay start to go more direct. And they may need to do that from the start, given they've been drawn in a tough Group D alongside the US, Turkey and Australia. In a 48-team World Cup, where finishing 3rd may be enough to qualify, the ideal draw contained one smaller side that you could pick up 3 points against. Group D is the opposite. It has 4 competitive and fairly evenly balanced sides, with the added negative for Paraguay of having to play against the hosts in their opening game. The US will press high under Pochettino, and that may not suit Paraguay. The US won 2-1 when the sides met late last year, with a brawl between both squads at the end of the game setting the scene nicely for the rematch. Turkey will be another tough opponent, with plenty of quality in Çalhanoğlu, Yildiz and Güler. Again, Turkey will likely dominate the ball, whilst Paraguay tried to hit them on the break. On paper, the game against Australia represents Paraguay's best chance of picking up a win. Under elite own goal scorer Tony Popovic, Australia play a similar style to Paraguay, and this may allow Paraguay to open up a little, aiming to get the ball to their creative players more regularly in central areas, letting their midfielders push on a bit more, or maybe even making a change at fullback. They'll aim to reach the knockout stage, and anything from there is a bonus. Knockout football should suit Paraguay better, as the pressure will be on their opponent to break them down. And how deep they go could depend on their group stage performance. If they finish 3rd, they'd face the winners of groups E, I or K, and potential games against Germany, France or Portugal. Finishing 2nd, however, would see them play the runner-up of Group G, with Belgium, Egypt, Iran and New Zealand. Under Professor Alfaro, no one will enjoy playing against Paraguay this summer, and the country will definitely enjoy seeing La Garra Guarani back on the world stage. The Cachiporros will be playing, the Caña will be pouring, and it would be even better if they could take some big scalps, or get some new goals for the National Art Gallery along the way.